guess we're all travelling into the unknown. Great to have you in the studio again, a great friend and colleague, Dan Cassidy.
Look, it's good to be back, Sean. I'm sorry that I wasn't here the last couple of weeks. A little bit of a health issue, but I'm moving forward.
And not the C type, another type.
No, different one.
Well, good to see you sparking and smiling your dial, bros.
Thanks, Sean. It's good to be back. So, what do we got on the show this evening?
Look, it's a bit of a trimmed down version this evening. Like, we've gone through a couple of marathon episodes the last couple of weeks. Lots of editing exercise and work for the lads. But we're still punching it out. We're still having a go. You've got a special guest coming up on the studio.
Yes, I do. I've got Brent McKee from Monash University. He's the animation director for the Nunungu Awara Sensi Lab down there. He's a 3D animator. He's got some clips to show us from his work. It's really good, beautiful stuff.
Fantastic. Looking forward to that. Not much on Nana Cat's table this week, but we'll do a little promo. Yeah. We've got a video of the week and coming up. Also a recap of last week's video of the week. We've got a clip from last Saturday's Global Village Splendour live broadcast. We'll replay that one.
That was a big day, wasn't it?
That was a big day.
Big wrap up for the Global Village that we did here live in the studios. 10 acts in 2 hours crossing. It was 10 acts that we crossed to. It was big. It was a big day.
I think it was one of our biggest, most complicated live streams yet.
For sure. Absolutely.
Wow. Kev's Corner.
Kev's
Corner. Oh, you made did you catch Kev's
I go
Corner?
away for a couple of weeks. It's a whole new little bit.
Kev's Corner, Rusty's Rave, and also the Spin Sisters special interview. It's growing and expanding, and things are happening.
Bring it.
Yeah,
Bring it.
Let's go. So look, let's jump into a bit of an industry spotlight roundup for this week. See how we go. Is that cue promo?
Yeah, I've got 2 things.
This week on the industry spotlight, Dan Bluesfest released some figures this week. Based on the economic loss of the festival. It was been done by consultancy firm Reuben Lawrence Consulting. Went through all the stats and the details. They came up with an economic impact report that our immediate regional community lost nearly $117 million in gross revenue.
That's a big blow for our region, isn't it?
Yeah, and kind of equivalent in there to 750 full-time jobs. Also, the loss to the state of New South Wales was being calculated in there of $203 million loss to the state.
So each time that a festival like this gets cancelled, this is what happens. This is the overflow for everybody around the state. It's a big impact, and that's going to be felt around here for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And then we don't follow that on. I would imagine the Splendour figures would even be higher than that again.
You would have to imagine it'd be at least as big. Yeah.
Yeah. So those they haven't released those figures, and maybe they will. But that will give you an idea of the impact on just our local economy, and then also the state-wide economy as well.
750 full-time jobs.
Yeah, the equivalent. Yeah,
that's terrible.
Yeah. So that's it's not looking fantastic out there. And of course, last weekend would have been the Splendour weekend, and then also they previously deferred till October. Now that's all cancelled, and now we're talking 2021 for Bluesfest.
Yeah. Are there going to be any festivals this year at all? Is there going to be anything? Is fall's going to go ahead? Currently, still on the calendar. Currently.
And
who knows?
Pineapple Festival, it's still on the board. And there's a few festivals up at Caloundra and the Sunshine Coast as well, which are slated as long as the Queenslanders can keep a handle on what's going on. It's not looking fantastic out there, but if they can keep a handle on it and keep the numbers down, if you can keep the numbers down and consistently get through, I think, with the whole medical emergency, because it's all about people's safety. We don't want to go back into a situation where people aren't safe. But we're also talking about an industry which is at significant loss and
It's on its knees.
It
really is on its knees.
Yeah. There is one country that's got their shit together and doing well.
New Zealand?
New Zealand. Last weekend they had the Winter Meltdown Breaking Beats Festival, full lineup with full audience.
So they've got no restrictions at all anymore, do they?
Pretty much no restrictions.
They're just back on.
No. So, and a lot of underground beats and a bit of drum and bass and stuff like that. You can check them out on Facebook for their live stream from last week. I think it's still up. So, go NZ.
Great. Good on them. Lucky them.
Yeah. Victoria going. Oh, God, our hearts go out to the Victorians.
Oh, man, Melbourne, we're feeling for you.
We really do feel for you. There is a push now for. There's a group started up in Victoria for Help Save Victorian Events. They're getting signatures and support to go to the government because they're like, as with all industry everywhere, every state, the events industry is absolutely cruel. So they're looking for. They've worked out that their loss to their value to the Victorian economy is about $8 billion per year in Victoria. So they're looking for funding support for business in the event industry, including the revisiting business support fund for many event industry businesses that have not yet been eligible. Also working with the industry to develop a proactive plan and get events up and running as soon as it's safe. And also leading by example for the state government and its agencies to commit to continuing to hold their events as soon as possible. So if you want to give them some support, the link for support Vic events is going to be, the guys will put that up on our Facebook page. You can help there.
And look, as you know, everyone's moving to the online stuff. The virtual festivals, the virtual events are pretty big at the moment, and people are trying to do their stuff. Virtual Lollapalooza, the Chicago big festival, huge festival, that's happening right now, the virtual festival. They've gone online, so all weekend started today, and I think it goes till Sunday. All the big names are on there. Lord, Tyler, the Creator, Arcade Fire, LCD Sound System. They're playing some old footage as well as they're doing some live stuff as well. Which is all virtual, of course. It's completely free. I've got a bit of a problem with that. I don't think it should be free. I think we all need to be educating ourselves and the population at large that we need to be paying, even if it's a small amount. If lots of people pay a small amount for something like that, I don't think the artists particularly need it, but I know all the crew needs it, all the industry around it needs it, and if that was going to something like Support Act or Crew Care or something like that, that could really help. That really could help. So although it's good to see a virtual festival like Virtual Lollapalooza, I wish that they'd kind of made it a paid event. I really do.
Well, they really could be helping a lot of people, even if it was $1, $2 or $5. I mean, that money could then go back into the industry to help struggling companies, businesses, and crew who are absolutely smashed.
Yeah.
Massive loss of income.
Yeah.
There's a lot of big production companies that are looking really freaked out right now.
Is there going to be an industry to go back to once this is all over? How long is this going to go on for? All the big production companies have got massive overheads. We've got a small production company. We've got big overheads. What's going to happen? Is there going to be an industry to go back to? The artists will be ready to perform, and there won't be anyone to do the jobs, to do the crewing. That's the reality. So everyone needs to get their head around the fact that if there's an online event, that they should be paying and supporting the artists, but also the crew around the artists.
Yeah. Any opportunity to support artists online by buying tickets,
merchandise.
Absolutely, it's got to be done.
Because Splendid did the thing, didn't they, where they were selling T-shirts and all the money was going to the crew, wasn't it?
It was going to Support Act.
Support Act,
and then Support Act then helped disseminate those funds to struggling crew.
Yeah.
So buying the T-shirt, then raise funds for that going into Support Act, and then they would handle it from there.
And I'd also like to see the A-list artists, all the big ones that have made shitloads of money over the years, give back. It's their time to give back. They've made more out of this industry than anybody else, and they've worked. They all work hard. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking anything away. They work hard, but do they work as hard as the production manager, the stage manager who works, 18-hour days all around the clock at a festival? Do they work as hard as that? It's time for those big guys who can ride out a pandemic for the rest of their lives quite comfortably. Is it time for them to give back somehow? How are they going to do that? You know, that's something that I'd like to see happen.
Well, it's a good question, Dan, and something like, you know, if those artists were doing an online performance and an online show, and you know are doing okay, and they can contribute those funds back to something like Support Act or to organisations to support crew in a way, whether it's Support Act or some other way to support the industry, would be that'd be one way of doing it.
Yeah, setting up some sort of fund or something that production companies are able to, you know, get grants for or apply for funding of some sort to keep the industry alive.
And then that would be great if it was backed like dollar for dollar by the governments. And go, okay, you just raised, you know, $2 million for your industry. We'll back it by another dollar for dollar. You know, we mentioned last week you know, I guess, Dan, one of the disappointing things for me is that the government announced $250 million support for our industry, but there's no information.
Yeah, it's not a lot going on, is there?
Now, it's weeks ago. There's no information. A couple of weeks ago, they announced $400 million worth of support for the film and screen industry, but there's no information on it. And as far as we can work out,
tax incentives, I think.
It's tax incentives. Yeah. It's not actually money. It's tax incentives, and it's over 7 years.
Yeah.
And if you break that down, it's like 50 something million dollars per year available, but ideally aimed at large Hollywood-style movies as a tax incentive. That's gone in one movie, in 1 year.
Yeah, and when they announced that, they Scott Morrison did his big, you know, speech at Creative Productions on the Gold Coast, which is a production company like ours, but much bigger scale. And they've got all the road cases in the background, and they're saying, you know, this is going to help all these companies. But really, in that situation with those big Hollywood movies, most of the gear is going to come from overseas. It's not really going to help the little players like the local companies all too much.
Well, that the company that got announced in Creative Lighting, a lot of their stuff is live. It's concert and touring work. It's not a lot of film work.
No, that's a different kind of thing.
It's a different industry, even though they do cross over in there. You know, and the film guys are also struggling as well, of course. But
hard to remain upbeat, isn't it? Hard to remain upbeat.
It's tricky. It's tricky. So, I was going to touch on England as well, who are big industry leaders as well. They're suffering, but I don't even want to go into the statistics. It's just depressing. I want to just say that they're doing it tough, but they've also, as part of their campaign, they're doing a red alert campaign where they're going to be lighting buildings and lighting structures and things in England in red lighting to highlight that in England. So we might see some great photos and footage from that.
So is there anything happening in Australia for that, or is it just purely a UK
Well,
thing?
that was a UK initiative, so I'm not sure if that's going to be taken up in Australia. You know, everyone might jump on board. We'll see.
Maybe we could lead something here.
Well, light up the front of the building and wait for someone to ride past on a bike.
Lighthouse is gagging for it.
Look, let's jump to a bit of online activity, because otherwise we're just going to go down a rabbit hole of depression. Look, a bit of positive news. Let's go with a bit of positive news, because that's what we're doing here, is trying to lead, trying to support the arts and creativity and connection between everyone here in our shire and our region.
I think what our industry is known for is being solutions focused. So we're just trying to come up with solutions for all of this. I mean, that's how it's always how we're going to handle this. We're just going to look for the next solution
and create something new.
Yeah.
And talking about creating something new, we are really proud as a team that Madeline West's podcast series, which was recorded with the events team here at Byron Bay Live, Invisible Heroes, has been released and is on podcast and all the main podcast channels. And I think it's in the top. It's within the top 20
straight away.
Already straight away. Did you say, Odin? Did you say it was top 5 or 10?
Top
20 as of yesterday. Yeah. And big shout out to Odin and Kev and Mike, who helped Madeline put that podcast series together.
Look, podcasts are big at the moment, but I reckon that is going to be really one worth listening to. I've caught bits and pieces of it as they've been editing. It's an amazing story, her getting hit by the bus. She was on the show a couple of weeks ago, so we we saw a bit of that. But she's interviewed some really interesting people, unsung heroes that need to be heard, really. With
Amazing
some very
stories.
topical issues.
They're amazing stories. Yeah. Definitely worth checking
Invisible
out. So,
Heroes. All
check that
podcast
out.
platforms.
Yeah. So, yay, Madeline Weston. Yay, Byron Bay Live team. Well done. Also want to highlight, because of the online activity and the work of the Cunning Stunts team. They've just kind of wound up their last season. And obviously it started live in the shed at Billy Nudgel, and then they've gone to online with their Facebook streaming.
Pajamas.
And the pajama parties. Look, they kept on keeping on, and they have raised in this last season $14,000 in donations.
Man, honestly, those guys have done such a great job. They've done such a fantastic job. They always put on an amazing party. Curious, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Everything they do is really successful, and they've raised so much money for so many not-for-profits around here. It's good on you guys. Honestly, honestly, really.
Forget waiting for your government departments to come up with the stuff. These guys are actually doing, and from people dancing and having a good time. Have raised so much money. What's the total? It's $380 something thousand they've raised for community groups. This round they've got over $2,000 going to the Wollumban Family Support. They've also giving $2,700 I think to Headspace, to Eat Heads. It's mental health for youth. And I think their grand total at the moment is $325,000, nearly $326,000, and they have supported 28 charities. So Sut, Sarah, Laura, and Dale,
killing it, guys. Cunning Stunts, you rock.
Big ups, you guys so rock, and have done so much for our community, and so much great music, and all the DJs and everyone that have played there.
Bomb. Always
fantastic.
A good party.
Yeah.
I've got another little bit of bad news for the country. Opera Australia has been forced to postpone its presentation of Richard Wagner's The Ring, meaning it's not going to stage any more performances until at least next year. So that's it for opera for the year.
That is a huge show. That thing that's a major installation, that show.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised. It's and the ballet, the Australian Ballet, will probably follow in behind as well. They're based in Melbourne, and they're going to be at home doing stretches, and
it's just underscoring the whole thing that the rest of the year is a bit of a write-off for events. So we need to support people online. We need to support the industry online. That's the only way that the industry is going to survive.
Yeah. You got to buy a ticket,
buy
in
a ticket,
there,
buy a T-shirt.
Yeah,
do whatever you can.
In the real world, there are some gigs in the real world.
Real gigs.
Yeah, real gigs. Who'd have thunk it? Probably everyone has to sit down and no dancing.
Or mingling.
But our featured artist from last week, Tim Stokes, is going to be at the Railway Hotel tomorrow. Also, Dan Clark at the Beach Hotel. And also John Fogan at the Beach Hotel. Majestic Nights.
Geez, we're lucky. We've still got gigs going on around here.
I know. That's why. It's happening in the real world. And the Billy Gudgeon duo at Mary Gilhooly's in Lismore, and one to check out at Tinton Bar is going to be Hussey Hicks tomorrow night at Tinton Bar Hall.
Nice.
So that's going to be. We're really hoping that the girls are going to be on the show with us sometime in the future.
Wasn't that touted?
Look,
wasn't Rusty giving it a bit of a talk up last week? Rusty,
he's gonna be pulling strings and seeing what we can do about getting the girls in the studio with us here. So we're looking forward to that if and when it happens. All right, look, that's it. I think we're going to jump to last week's video of the week. The recap from the beautiful video from last week. Let's go to that from Matt Collins. Also associated with this week's video of the week. There's a crossover there. He's the lead singer for the Warbs. So we're going to have a look at that.
Matt Collins. Everything's changing.
That's it. Let's have a look.